introduction speeches. Lois will be defending blogging as with her fabulous blog, macaronimaniac.blogspot.com. And so what she will be doing is giving a 2-minute introduction speech, and then Byron, who is a columnist for the Willamette Week, will be defending his side with a 2-minute speech of print journalism. And then I will be getting into some questions targeted at one side, and they will have to defend it. And then, after that, the other side will be able to give a brief rebuttal. So here is Lois to defend blogging.
Just to push you to my blog, the latest entry, which I wrote last night, draws the important parallels you may not know about between Thomas Lauderdale and Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. So I'm saying you really need to turn it. Macaroni Maniac, Blogspot. So when the nice editorial staff at Bitch magazine invited me to come and debate, I thought I'd better prepare, I'd better do my research. I immediately set out for the library, pulled down the bound volumes of the Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature, checked the index and the cross-index, wrote down in my notebook all of the relevant articles, went right over to the microfilm machine, pulled the microfilms, wound them through the little machine. They got stuck. I had to take it off. I had to wind it again. They got stuck. The librarian came over to help me, and finally I was able to do my research using the #1 resource for anybody needing information in America, print newspapers. Okay, that's a load of crap. Obviously what I did was that I started Googling. I actually was not supposed to, Byron's come in at the last moment. I was supposed to be debating somebody else, and so I Googled that person, who's also a print journalist, and the first thing that came up was her blog that's associated with the newspaper that she writes for. And the second thing that came up was a reference to her blog on the Oregonian's blog, she writes for the Mercury, saying that the best reporting on the mayoral campaign was coming off of Amy's blog. So this was a newspaper's blog referring you to another newspaper's blog for the best reporting. I don't pretend that blogs are perfect, but certainly they have a few advantages. They are accessible from anywhere. You don't have to wait for that person to throw the blog at your door at 5 in the morning, waking the dog and setting the whole house a titter. Accessible anywhere, anytime, as long as you have internet access. They are archived, so you don't have to go, as much fun as the microfilm machine is, and find them that way. They are easily indexed and searchable, and they contain multimedia. So there was a big advance in the telling of current events when photography came along. Civil War reporting changed dramatically. If you think of World War II as sort of the newsreel war, the impact of television on things like the civil rights movement, because all of a sudden you could see what was happening to protesters. And I think of the first Iraq War, how scary that we have to refer to them that way. The first Iraq War as the CNN war, the sort of 24-hour cable news war. But I feel like our current wars really are in part the wars of blogs, the ability to have instantaneous news and to have images, to have, for example, photographs taken by soldiers that can then circulate online is really a phenomenal access to information that we never had before. So I feel like it's onward and forward in about 2 minutes.
About.
Okay, well, so I hand it over to Byron. I'll be back.
Thank you. And now Byron to defend print journalism.
First of all, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to step in for Amy Ruiz, which somebody I admire very much, and I feel like I already lost. So I will do my best to present this. Separating blogs and print journalism presents a problem for me. I think it separates us from a bigger question, and that is blogging more relevant than journalism? I write a weekly column for Willamette Week called Queer Window. It could be considered a blog because it's a view of queer culture through my window and is full of personal opinions, but it is not a blog. I am beholden to my paper's editors to not only report the facts, but to try and share whenever as possible the big picture and how it connects to our readers. I believe that's what separates my Queer Window from the Perez Hiltons of the world. It's a column by me, but it's not about me, no matter what my critics say. Truth is, I believe blogging is just another style of journalism, a different type of journalism that I and my colleagues practice, but it is still journalism. And I have to tell you, today's bloggers would not exist without the work of journalists. That's due in large part to the fact journalism relies primarily on the skills of the writer, a writer who digs deep, follows leads, and reports the truth. It's very hard work. Bloggers put more emphasis on their own interpretation of the truth, often skimmed from other journalists' reporting. If you've got a weird photo, YouTube video, or link to go with it, then all you have to do is sit back and watch the hits roll in. It's a lot more fun, it's a lot less work. So why wouldn't you want to be a blogger? And who wouldn't want to be a blogger? Well, me. I don't want to be a blogger. As Google President Eric Schmidt said recently, most blogs have a readership of 1, 2 if you count their mom. Willamette Week has a monthly readership of 450,000 and it's in its print product, and only half of that monthly for the web. A popular local blog called Blue Oregon only has 80,000 hits, unique visitors a month, which is less than the numbers of papers we print weekly. And blogs don't hold the prime downtown brick and mortar real estate that publications do. There is something about picking up a paper the day it comes out. There just is. There's something about it. But I think journalists can learn a lot from the world of blogging. No longer can a reporter sit back on his or her ass and hope a big story falls in their lap, or that it will stay yours and yours alone. That's because unlike in the past, when there might be 1 or 2 people covering your beat, nowadays there's a billion bloggers just right there chomping to break the big story. That brings me to another subject. Bloggers seem to have a tendency to post a story before they have all the facts. Newspapers and other media do that too. Dewey defeats Truman, or more recently when CNN reported that the California Supreme Court had denied gay marriage in California, when in fact it had done the opposite. But an overwhelming number of bloggers I read seem more obsessed with sharing even the most minute, inconsequential bits of tabloid fodder, whether it's true or not, just so they can be first. First. It's why I read them. I want to see it first. And when they don't get their facts straight, I rarely see bloggers run a correction. They just link to another story, often from a mainstream outlet, that actually got the story right. And getting the story is right is what it's all about in our business. I think that's something bloggers can learn from us. You see, readers, trust journalists about as much as they do a blogger they just kind of stumbled upon, which is not very much. But they may be willing to pick up a paper like Willamette Week or the Oregonian because, more often than not, just by reputation and history, they know what to expect. Similarly with bloggers, the unexpected can sometimes be the most gratifying aspect of reading a blog. And here is where I see the convergence is happening, in the slim twilight zone that separates blogs from print, and there really isn't any separation. By learning to pair the unexpected, breaking news, opinion, and multimedia with the expected reputation, history, and skills, blogging and print journalism are beginning to move in the same direction, and that is forward. We are in fact becoming one. You can see that with the Huffington Post and other political websites. The dreaded Drudge Report is as much a major player in the world of politics as the Washington Post. Recently, a former writer from the Oregonian, who now works at the Tribune, asked me about blogging. He was nervous it would take too much time away from his real reporting. This was from a fellow who often relies on one source for most of his material. Then he shared with me that what he thought was a real reason he was resistant to the world of blogs: strangers. He didn't like the ideas that readers could anonymously post their opinions about his writing at the bottom of the story. I just laughed and said, "You'll get used to it." Journalism still serves a purpose in the blogging world. And it's the ability to connect with those strangers that really intrigues me about the future of our craft.